My characteristics are devotion to Sri Krishna, true Kshatriya and upholding Dharma, love for my brothers, power of concentration, alertness, steadfastness, self-control, and loyalty. My teacher Dronacharya asked all of us to participate in an archery contest. Due to the power of concentration, I was able to hit the eye of the bird with my arrow. I won the hand of Draupadi by successfully passing the test of her Swayamvara. I was the only one who could hit the eye of the fish by looking at its reflection in a pool below. I also married Krishna's sister Subhadra. I had a son, Abhimanyu, a great warrior. I performed tapas at Indra to obtain a weapon that could kill the Bhusha Kauravas. Before the Mahabharata war, Krishna gave me two choices. I could either get Krishna alone or Krishna's material resources. His soldiers, elephants, and arms. I chose Krishna, but since he was not going to fight in the war, Krishna was my charioteer. I prostrated to Sri Krishna after hearing the spiritual message of the Bhagavad Gita. As a true Kshatriya, I had to wage war against my teachers, grandfather, and my Kirtan. I present of mind, concentration, and steadfastness are evident from the incident in my church. I, Arjuna, have love and loyalty for my brother Yudhishthira and will always fight to uphold Dharma and justice.
I am Draupadi, daughter of King Drupada of Panchala. I am married to all five of the Pandavas, Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadev. I am devoted to Sri Krishna, since he has always blessed me with his grace. An example of this is when I gave him 1 grain of my rice from my Akshapatra, and it magically fed sage Durvasa and his 1,000 disciplines. My character traits are ideal wifehood, dutifulness, self-esteem, forbearance, bravery, and beauty. I can't believe that I stayed in the forest with all the Pandavas when they were in exile for 13 years, but I still lived a very simple life. I think I was brave and bold when I told Yudhishthira that I'm a princess. How could he put me at stake in the vicious game of dice? And besides, he lost everything. Dusasana dragged me by my hair and attempted to outrage my modesty by pulling off my clothes. In the presence of the whole royal assembly, Sri Krishna came to my rescue. I was so angry. I vowed that until the blood of Duryodhana and Dusasana was blended in my hair, I would not comb it or tie my long black hair. After 13 years in exile, I could not remain patient about the wrongdoings of the Kauravas. I knew about the forgiving nature of Yudhishthira and knew that he might settle for peace at all costs. I still kept urging him not to forgive the wrongs they had suffered, to seek revenge to his enemies, and to secure for our sons their rightful heritage. I am Draupadi, an ideal woman who will fight for what is right. Thank you.
I am Duryodhana. I was the first of 100 sons born to Gandhari in Dhritarashtra, but unfortunately, he was blind. My sworn enemies for life are the Pandavas. Everyone loves them, but not me. When I was born, I cried like a donkey. There were also bad omens like fires and floods when I was born. The Brahmins of the palace told my father to get rid of me, but my father did not because he was always attached to me. I have tried many times to destroy the Pandavas, but they never seemed to work. I knew that Krishna was rooting for them, so when I went to go see him, he was sleeping. I sat beside his head, and Arjuna came in and he sat beside his feet. When Krishna woke up, he saw Arjuna first, so he asked him if he wanted him or his army during war. Of course, Arjuna chose Krishna, but I got Krishna's big army. You can learn a lot from me, even though I have a negative side. I can be stubborn and I can be evil, and those are traits that you should not follow.
My name is Gandhari. I am devoted to my husband and children. I married King Dhritarashtra despite the fact that he was blind. I bravely decided to blindfold myself so that I could be equal to my husband. I did not want to see a world my husband could not. My husband was the king of Hastinapur and I was the queen. I always tried to guide my children to do the right thing. I urged Duryodhana to avoid war and give the Pandavas what they wanted. I was very devoted to dharma, to truth, honesty, and purity. I am respected by many people. I am loved by the Pandavas even though my sons are their enemies, and I love the Pandavas as if they were my own sons. I advised King Dhritarashtra to give up on Duryodhana and reinstate the Pandavas. During the war, I sat by my husband's side and heard everything that was happening on the battlefield. I tried to prevent the war and was saddened by all the deaths. In my rage, I lashed out at Lord Krishna and cursed him for not preventing all the destruction. Krishna was cursed that he would suffer the same way the Kauravas did. During my final days, I led a simple life in the forest. I left this world in a very religious way during a forest fire created by the cinders of a yagna. From me, you can learn to have devotion to your family and to dharma. I lived a life full of truth and valor. I am the great queen Gandhari.
I am Kunti. I am the daughter of the king of Bhoja. When I was a little girl, I called upon the sun god for my very first son with the mantra that Sage Durvasa taught me. I wanted to see if the mantra really worked, and soon enough the mantra worked and I had a baby named Karna. It was so sad to let him go. I had to because I wasn't married yet. I never told anyone about him. I later married Bandu and he married Madhu. Still with the mantra Sage Durvasa taught me, I had 3 sons, Yudhishthir, Bhim, and Arjuna. Madhuri had Nakul and Sahadev, yet I told no one about Karna. I had motherly love for the Pandavas because after the death of Pandu and Madhuri, I took care of them. Karna's foster mom was Radha. Karna was later called Radheya, and as Krishna for my nephew, he is there whenever I need him. Karna found out that I was his real mother, and so fought on the Kaura side, the opposite side of the Pandavas. He stayed there because Duryodhana was his best friend. But he promised me that I would always have 5 sons alive. After the death of Karna, my sons found out that he was their brother. The Kurukshetra war proved that those with dharma on their side and faith in God is the winning side.
I am Shakuni, son of Subala and Parvati, the brother of Gandhari, who is married to the blind king Dhritarashtra and the uncle of the Kauravas. I felt very insulted when the Guru clan approached my father for the marriage of Gandhari and Dhritarashtra. I stayed on with my sister until she adjusted well with her new life with the blind king. After my sister's marriage, I was very loyal to Duryodhana and looked out for his prosperity. I had cheated during the game of dice. I accused Yudhishthira for being more affectionate towards his brothers. I can manipulate people's minds and am at the master of illusions. I showed cunningness when I manipulated Duryodhana's minds towards getting the throne of Hastinapur. I was very calm during the game of dice. I was devious by turning Duryodhana's minds against
the Pandavas. During the Kurukshetra war, I was killed by Sahadev. From Shakuni, we learned to be dharmic, and that it takes someone like Sri Krishna to counter people like Shakuni.
I, Vidura, am the uncle of the Pandavas and half-brother of King Pandu and King Dhritarashtra. I am the one who Krishna chose to stay with over the Pandavas who invited him in the royal palace. I have many traits, and they include devotion to Dharma, godliness, honesty, humility, nobility, righteousness, unattachment, statesmanship, and wisdom. I showed righteousness when I told Yudhishthira that gambling was wrong and he should not participate in it. I showed statesmanship when Bhishma appointed me while I was only in my teens as chief counselor of King Dhritarashtra. I showed unattachment when I didn't feel overly sorrowful when the wax palace burned down. I showed humility when I wisely advised the Pandavas to go to Eternal out of the wax palace so they didn't die. I showed nobility from birth in my actions, as I always did everything right and nothing wrong. I showed devotion to Dharma when I told Gandhari that her son Duryodhana was not following the right path of Dharma. I showed wisdom when I stood up to Duryodhana when he was insulting Draupadi in court. I showed godliness because I never stayed angry with someone for a long period of time. I showed honesty when I told Krishna that his visit to Hastinapur would be futile because the people he would meet were greedy, jealous, and also revengeful. From what you just heard, you can tell that I, Vidura, have many great characteristics. I can truthfully say that I like to maintain a balanced mind and will strive for righteousness and justice in whatever I do.
One who is stable in war. That is the meaning of Yudhishthira. I am the son of Kunti and Pandu. I have 4 brothers, Arjun, Bhim, Nakul, and Sahadev. My guru is Dronacharya. I always did what I thought was right and truthful, even if it was done by one of my own brothers. The entire story of the Mahabharata is an example of my devotion to Sri Krishna. Although a war between the Pandavas and Kauravas was destined, I waited for the right time and channelized me and my brother's wrath into diligent preparation for the war during our period of exile in the forest. If I wasn't patient, the outcome of the Mahabharata and the war would have been different. I showed kindness and righteousness when I refused to go on the chariot because the dog that accompanied me was not allowed to come with me. I loved my brothers and I fought for justice when I did not see them in heaven. Yudhishthira is one of the greatest characters in the Mahabharata. He's the embodiment of Dharma and the very essence of righteousness and justice. Unlike Duryodhana, he was never jealous of other people's success. He left an indelible mark for all time to come.